Hi everyone, I'm Law of the West, and this buyer's guide is going to be all about the IronClad, which is Drake's new ship that was offered as a concept sale at this year's Invictus Fleet Week. And the first thought that hit me after seeing it for the first time was, wow, now that's his caterpillar on steroids. And then I was struck by a near prophetic vision of Chris Roberts pushing his giant hands deep into the datasphere and grabbing a hold of the caterpillar by its shoulders. And then with a mighty yell started pulling at it until it looked exactly as it does in this picture. And then his voice boomed out over the landscape declaring, and it was good. And that's the IronClad. When you look at it, it's got a lot of the same elements as you'd find on the Caterpillar. It even has the same iconic looking command module attached to its side, and I was happy to see them start to integrate that design into more of their ship models. And much like with the Cutter, this ship takes a non-traditional approach to being a Drake ship. But in the case of the IronClad, it ditches the old paper-thin analog and instead is plated in heavy armor. But the main thing that really caught my attention, and is something that I really applaud, is that they finally stopped subdividing the interior space of these larger ships in an attempt to purposely keep us from being able to use their cargo decks as a hangar. In fact, they went one step further and not only created a front ramp for the ship, but have also designed it so that you can retract the ceiling to allow ships to be able to land in it. It really reminds me of a floating mid-sized hangar that you can take anywhere you want. So what kind of role does this ship play? They say that it's meant to be the next step in cargo haulers that sits somewhere in between the Kraken and the Caterpillar. But I'm looking at this ship as a cargo hauler in the same way that I'm looking at the Corsair as being an explorer ship. It's a nice cover story for the UE authorities, but I'm not buying it. This is Drake's version of the Liberator, but it seems to outclass it nearly every way. They've even gone as far as to make a more militaristic variation on it that they're calling the Ironclad Assault. And it's going to have more guns and trade off a small amount of cargo space for having an onboard repair facility. They've also widened out the forward ramp bay and entrance so that you can load it up with the largest ground vehicles that the game has to offer, like the Nova and the Atlas platforms. If the regular IronClad is more than a capable competitor for the Liberator, then the Assault would be the Drake's answer to the M2. So on that note, who'd be interested in this ship? I see anyone who originally wanted to get the Caterpillar is going to take one look at this ship and fall in love with it for all the same reasons. This is quite literally the midlife crisis of cargo haulers, because it really tries to overcompensate in nearly every way. And if this ship's fiction becomes a reality, then it's going to be an incredibly high-end cargo hauler that's as equally well protected as it is defended. It's going to be able to double as a carrier and be one of, if not the most capable ground transport ships in the game all in one package. And if you're a Drake enthusiast and you're not tripping over your own tongue while looking at this ship, then I'd go see a doctor and try to find out what's wrong with you before it's too late. But all joking aside, I have some good news for anyone who's still undecided over whether or not to get the IronClad, and for anyone who may like what the ship does, but you really don't like the design or Drake's aesthetic. And it's that if I know anything about CIG, they're definitely going to be coming out with more ships in the future that do exactly the same thing, or maybe even a little better. And don't forget, and I'm going to be ending a lot of my buyer's guides with this same outro, and it's that all of these ships are going to be purchasable in-game using credits that you can earn through doing missions. So you don't have to worry about missing out on any of these sales, and you shouldn't feel like you have to purchase any of these ships, because you can always just wait till they're flyable and then get them in-game. I've been your host, Law of the West. Thanks for watching, and take care.